Always good to get that first shot in. So, thank you all for joining me for my very first vlog. It's been a long time coming. It's something that I've wanted to do for several years now, but just never got around to it. Today I'm at the Trona Pinnacles, and this is easily one of my favorite places to shoot the Milky Way. And that is because of its amazing rock formations. Many thousands of years ago, this was actually at the bottom of the lake, and just due to the chemical composition of the ground and the water, these giant tufa formations were formed. Now, today, they give the landscape this really otherworldly feel that's been popular in movies, music videos, commercials, and, you guessed it, Milky Way photography. This is probably one of the most popular places to shoot the Milky Way in all of California, if not the United States. Compositions for Milky Way photography are virtually endless here. There are about 500 spires according to Wikipedia. So yeah, there's all sorts of different compositions you can try. And that's a good thing because it's a Saturday night and there are a ton of campers here. And I finally found a location where I am pretty much all alone. I think there are some people over that ridge over there. But yeah, the first place that I tried that I really wanted to shoot tonight, unfortunately had some campers there already. But I'm gonna be here an extra night, so I'm gonna give it a try tomorrow. There are a couple of tufas here that I actually find pretty interesting and I think would make a good foreground for a Milky Way photo. So I'm gonna give that a try and we'll see how it turns out.
After sleeping in the car for a couple hours waiting for the Milky Way to rise, I walked over to the spot where I took my first photo of the night. For this image, I used a star tracker to get some clean exposures of the night sky, which I would then blend with stationary exposures of the foreground. I also decided to use a clip-in H-alpha filter for the first time. I was then able to capture and blend in an extra exposure that gave a boost to the nebulae in the Milky Way. I have to admit though, it was a bit of a pain to use in the field and the blending process in post was a bit tricky for me, so I actually haven't used the filter since. Now I do plan on using it again in the future, but the next few episodes will not be featuring any of these H-alpha blends. Moving right along, here's what the final image would look like without the H-alpha exposure blended in. And here's what the H-alpha exposure looks like on its own. I was able to convert it to grayscale and integrate it with the red channel of the original full color image. After combining all of the elements together, here is the final result. The overall effect on the image is subtle, but I really like the added color detail in the various emission nebulae in the core of the Milky Way. For more information on H-alpha blends, I highly recommend checking out videos from Trevor at Astro Backyard, Peter Zelinka, and Alan Wallace. They all have episodes on the subject on their YouTube channels and explain things a lot better than I could. Big thanks to all three of them for sharing their knowledge and inspiring me to try an H-alpha blend of my own. As the night went on, I walked over to the next shot location and saw this incredible crescent moon rising in the distance. Unfortunately, I didn't bring a telephoto lens with me to the spot, so the footage here really doesn't do it justice. It was absolutely beautiful in person though. I got set up for my next shot, and once again, I did a stacked and tracked sky blend with a stacked foreground. Here's what I ended up with. With the crescent moon rising and dawn approaching, the sky took on this rather pleasant shade of blue. I really like how it complements the warmer colors of both the foreground and the Milky Way.
So the sun's about to rise, and I'm kind of scouting around for possible photo locations, but I'm not really finding anything terribly compelling. I think I might go back to where I was when I first started shooting the Milky Way and see if that looks any good. Fingers crossed. So I think I have a halfway decent composition on the sunrise shot. There's no clouds in the sky, which kind of is unfortunate, but you know, it's one of those things when you're a Milky Way photographer. You want clouds during the day, but you want it clear at night. And you can't have it both ways, at least not very often. That wasn't too bad, considering that I was scrambling around looking for any halfway decent shot that would look good for the sunrise, and I think I found a halfway decent shot. Maybe a 3/4 decent shot. Yeah, the sun has risen and I am dead tired, so I think I'm gonna take a little bit of a nap. Alright, catch you guys later.
After about an hour of trying and not being able to fall asleep, I decided to just get up for the day, sleep deprivation be damned. I ended up taking this pano of the area near where I was exploring that morning. I think it turned out pretty nicely. Afterwards, I headed over to nearby Ridgecrest for a few hours to get something to eat and to kill a bit of time.
Alright, time for round 2. I'm heading back to the Trona Pinnacles and gonna give it another try. Now, I want to go to that one spot that I tried to go to last night but was taken by another camper. And I also want to try another shot where I'm kind of zoomed in on the pinnacles and having the Milky Way be fairly large in comparison. Most of my shots are shot in the 14 to 24 millimeter range. And this one I want to shoot more in the 50 millimeter range, give or take. So I'm going to bust out the 24 to 70 2.8 and we'll see how that goes. Hopefully it'll be okay. Alright, it's just about sunset at the Trona Pinnacles. Figured I'd get a nice sweeping panorama of the pinnacles out in the distance. So I busted out the old X-Pan. Well, it's actually a Fujifilm TX1, but it's the exact same model. But yeah, so the idea is that I want to overexpose by a couple of stops to bring out that shadow detail to compensate for the sun being in the frame. Hopefully I won't blow out my highlights too badly though.
I like how this one turned out more or less. The foreground's pretty flat, but the whole scene is backlit, so that's somewhat to be expected. I'm actually surprised I was able to pull out as much shadow detail as I was. Yeah, film is pretty cool sometimes. I like the composition in this one a little better. There's a bit more sky in the frame, and I like how the trail at the bottom is centered and symmetrical. It's almost like it's giving the photo a nice little underline. Later that night, after a few hours of trying to sleep, I brought out my Ioptron Skyguider Pro Star Tracker to set up that 50mm shot of the Milky Way. I went with something more precise than my Vixen Polary because at 50mm, any misalignment is going to be that much more noticeable. After getting everything set up, I took my exposures and here's what I got. I really like how this one turned out. This is pretty much exactly what I mentally pictured for the shot before I took it. It's always nice when a plan comes together. In another area, there are these 3 triangular spires that I like to call the wizard hats. This is the location where I originally wanted to shoot the night before. Thankfully, there weren't any other campers in the area this time around, so I decided to try some drone lighting. Lighting from above with drones can give your foreground a surreal, almost alien appearance. This look is very well suited for Milky Way photography, which is already a genre that often features a lot of artistic processing. It's important to note that the drone lighting process is very noisy and obnoxious for any bystanders nearby, especially if they're trying to sleep. So if you try this for yourself, please use good etiquette and make sure not to disturb anyone. Of course, I can't mention drone lighting without talking about Ruben Wu, who pioneered this technique with his incredible Lux Noctis project. If you aren't already familiar with his work, do yourself a big favor and check him out on Instagram. Ruben, thanks for the inspiration.
Okay, well, I think that's going to wrap things up. Twilight is creeping in right now, and I think that's my cue to get some sleep. I could really go for some right now. I'm so tired. But yeah, really happy with the shots that I got tonight. I definitely feel like they were stronger than last night's shots. Last night's shots weren't all that bad. They just weren't quite what I was expecting or quite what I was hoping. But yeah, much happier with tonight's shots. I think that's going to end things for my trip to the Trona Pinnacles. I'm headed over to Joshua Tree next. Hopefully I'll see you there. All right, thanks for watching.
I suppose that outro was a bit premature. After a bit of sleep and on my way out, I took a few X-Pan shots on Portra 400 film. While I'm making you sit through this glorified vacation slideshow, I'd like to thank you for watching. I'm still making this all up as I go, so if you have any constructive feedback on how I can improve my vlog or my photography in general, I'd love to hear from you. I also have several more episodes already filmed, including a tutorial on how to do stabilized sky-Earth rotation time-lapses. So, if you have any interest in viewing any of those in the future, please consider subscribing. Until next time, this is Eric Brummel encouraging you to take a shot in the dark. Okay, is that really the catchphrase I'm going to go with? Yeah, I guess we can just use that until I come up with something better. Bye, everyone.